The views expressed by our guests in the following video are solely the opinions of our guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and or opinions of the Ola 7 podcast show. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Spotlight with Yvonne Mangunda here on the Ola 7 podcast show. And as usual, I like to bring you personalities that will give us an insight into Zimbabwean sport. An insight that probably you didn't know, things that you didn't know before, or questions that you had. And I'm hoping that by the end of the show, you will know my guest better. This one, I think my Kepe fans at home, you will be very excited because I bring to you a man who is... I think we haven't seen him for a while now. I am talking about a former Caps United owner. Can you guess? Twine Phiri is in the studio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Yvonne. How are you?
I am so excited because and I remember growing up, and Caps United was obviously the connection with Caps Pharmaceuticals. But how did Twine Phiri get to be owner with Caps United? That is a big question. Tombo Tangira, Kwashaka Tangira. Where were you born? Where did you grow up and the schools you went to?
Okay, thank you very much. I was born in Phiri, Mazowe. Then grew up in Bari, Chirodzo School, then Mount Pleasant School, finished. Worked a bit with a brother and went to South Africa, do one or two things, came back, started a business.
But I'm not stereotyping Bari people in the field, so don't take offense. You don't seem like Bari. You're very... Isumageto youth were loud. Isumageto youth were like, you're very calm and collected. Growing up, were you always like that? Were you always that kid in class, just relaxed, focused on the prize?
From Bari, we went to Warren Park. Then Warren Park, Marlborough. So yeah, most of my time it was Marlborough. And that's it. So a brother was busy controlling us. You know Bari being Bari, Chimbara Chibude.
So I still remember Mbare, Caps United. Doesn't make sense because you think Mbare, munashitongota fara zobora chatuti kuti Mbare.
Ayo, isusu tangatiriva mwewe. Very cool, wanting nice things. And zvakanaka zvaiwanika kumakepe.
Oh my gosh, is that a dig at Dynamos? So you talk about owning a business and all that. How did you get to a position where you are now the Caps United owner? What was the process? Did you approach someone? Were you approached? What happened?
Okay. A colleague came to me and told me that the team was on sale. And this was through Sheikh Mentor. We were very close. And also Ian Gorowa. We were very close. We grew up the same time in Bari with Ian. And Ian, when he was in South Africa, playing for Ajax, he met CEO who Caps Holdings, Ed Robinson, and they discussed a bit about the team being on sale.
So, Takatarisa, that issue of the sale, I don't know if you have liberty to reveal the figures, but at that time, I got my thousands, my millions. Because I'm trying to figure out a team like Caps United, inotengwa mari.
Oh yes, then it was quite a lot. You remember my US ne Zim dollar. Zanga ziri 1 to 3 at one time. So it was quite a lot.
But Lottie, if you're at liberty to, my accumulator through, because the obvious question would be, Wait, a business yakaita same Zimbabwe. Yeah, that's a question for me as well. Kuti uzosvika pakukwanisa kutengesa, because hatisi kutaura, tumwe tuma team tumwe tuyata kutaura, this is one of the big three, and this is Caps United, then inyatsori Cup Kings chayo.
Oh yeah, true, yeah. Panga pashandwa, tangata shanda. What I did, I think I was one of the first black guys to own or to start an aircon company in this country after, coming back with a background in South Africa. So yeah, when I came in, he introduced the aircon industry in the country. So yeah, that's how I started.
So when you bought the company, when you bought the club, were you like an avid Caps United supporter? Were you that type of supporter who goes to the matches, or you were just a guy who would, you like Caps United, but not week in, week out, you're at the stadium?
You see, I grew up as a Caps United fan. In Mbare, growing up from Mbare, you have two people. One Mbare, one Mkepekepe. And the other small pack, the other side. So we chose the Caps United side. So coming from that background, I was a follower. He kept a big fan. He kept United. That's why you find I was connected with certain guys like the late Tauros, Joe Shambos, Namkoma Stike.
So, Matenga Club, what's the first night like when you go back home, Masia kuma deals, Saramega, in your own thoughts, in your own space, and realize I am the owner of one of the biggest clubs in Zimbabwe?
Let me tell you what transpired. What I did after paying, giving them the monies and stuff, I went back to the family, brothers, parents. We sat. I took them to Sheraton, now a Rainbow, for dinner, family dinner. When I announced, I remember my brother saying to me, "You're a joker. How can you tell us such a thing?" The following day, when he read in the newspaper, I started calling, and I was so busy. I told him I was going to come to his house 2-3 days later. So when I went there, he said to me, we didn't know that you were Zaji Chogwadi. But anyway, to answer you on how I felt, I just felt I was the same person, Twine. Yeah? Because I remember back then, big Rangaripo. So, Avanaja Mboshamisa, buying Caps United.
Wow. I'm so amazed when I ask this question, because I grew up going to the stadium. I grew up just being that girl in the stands. You don't know anyone. You're not connected to anyone, so you're not even in the circle. Like even patashika panaba unengo singa imagine ungoro mnano yakubhora uchienda haunakana mukana wekuti even a glimpse yekuona a play outside the ground. So to even imagine owning a team of that magnitude, and like you're saying, maybe it's because it was one of your portfolios and you had the money. What were your immediate goals, or the things that when you bought the club, you were saying, this is the input I can make, or this is the direction I can take it?
Oh yeah, the first thing was to turn the club professionally. When I bought, we went into a partnership first with the holdings. We went into a partnership for 2 years. Yeah, I remember it was 2 years. With my passion, I had a big passion for the team because I really wanted to see the team grow. I asked my partner, I needed to invest more in the team. That's when they said they couldn't, and Governor Tenga the remaining shareholding, and I became the major shareholder. So when I became one into this thing, I invested big time. When I mean big time, I started buying players like the likes of Mavuto, Mavuto Chapani, David Sengu, Brian Bathers, just to mention a few. I invested big, and I started turning it professionally. That's the time I approached Ministry of Local Government for a lease with the National Sports Stadium. I took the National Sports Stadium on a 10-year lease. Then at the same time, I invested in the coaches. I had a couple of coaches. That's when I brought guys from Blawayo. Remember the late Raman Kumbo. So I started, besides investing, I started building a team of good administrators. I brought in the likes of the current Minister of Justice, Ziambe. He was our treasurer then. Andy Hodges came in. He was the chairman. Then they ended up being the CEO, the man in charge. I brought in Rafford Zumbira from Barclays Bank. I even brought Kamjikariwa, the former CEO for Zim Papers. So I had to make sure that I had very big, I was holding a very big brand, which was Caps, and I had to make sure that I'm associated with big names, the likes of Wendy.
And when you talk about in the statement you just gave me, you spoke about the lease with National Sports Stadium. Mm-hmm. Why National Sports Stadium? Why not Gwanzura? Why not, obviously, Rufaro? People were aligning it with Dynamos, but why the choice to say National Sports Stadium?
Whenever I'm doing things, Yvonne, I dream big. I don't dream small. So I couldn't go to Gwanzura. I'm sorry to say. I had to aim high because my brand, I had a big brand, Caps United, which I wanted to be one of the best in Africa, of which I still feel I got there. And this is why I went for the best. And
for how long were you a Caps United owner?
Yes, I was there for 18 years. I was there for 18, yeah.
And what were your highest moments?
My highest was 204 when we took everything and we lost one game. That was my highest moment at the team.
And let's talk about the low moments.
It was the time where I made a very big blunder by taking the team to the UK. That was the
Take me through that trip. You do a nice trip. You go to the UK and you come back with most of your players not there.
Trust me, I didn't know. I was in the room, in an executive room at Bradford, in a hotel. The next thing, I see the manager coming to my room knocking, and we together with the coach saying, the boys are not there for breakfast.
So, I mean, even in your wildest dream, you couldn't have thought of something like that. I mean, Kutivan can just go, can just leave, can just decide, can plan. Kuti, we're not going to go back to Zimbabwe.
Oh yes, it was shocking. It was a shock. Remember, during those days, Zimbabwe was at their lowest in terms of, I'm not a politician. I wouldn't want to talk politics in terms of economic. And I don't blame them though, but people, they choose. So the guys chose to remain behind without my blessings. That was the sad part.
So what is the first step you take in a situation like that? Because obviously the issue is bigger than you. It also becomes an immigration issue and stuff. So what processes happen after Van Mango Shaika and they are under you, if we can say your care, as in you?
Yeah, the first thing I did was to report to the authorities. I remember phoning one senior person. I won't mention his name. He's no longer there. So I spoke. I told them. Fortunately enough, before I left, I had gone to the head of state, told them that I was leaving for the UK, and they gave me blessings to go to the UK. So when this happened, I was quick to revert back and speak to them again. So yeah, just said, when you get back, please come and see us. So I went, I told them, I gave them the passports. They asked me to take the passport to the immigration. I took them there. A few questions were there. A few offices came to me. They asked questions because remember during those days I used to sell quite a number of players to foreign countries. So some thought I'd sold, but the honest truth was they saw it, that the boys ran away.
Was it a difficult time? Because like you're saying, I obviously would firstly have a question about you and your involvement and all that stuff. Was it a difficult time for you?
It was because it was all over. It was all over the news, world over. BBC, CNN, It was very difficult because questions were coming.
And how long did it take for any of the boys to reach out to you, if any? Who was the first to reach out to you?
The first one, I don't really remember who, the first who came, but I remember getting calls from Rambani Ashirimuza. Yeah, he called, apologized. David Sengu did the same. A few guys, yes, they did. The late Katumba, I think Silent was the first one. He was the first one to.
And like you're saying, you said you sort of understood why they did. Had you forgiven them by there? Were you angry at a point where you can forgive them, or you understood straight away?
No, I was very, very bitter. I was a bitter man. Because I built a strong brand. And when this happened, it distorted our mission. Fortunate, we had a fallback. We had an academy which was playing in the Northern Region, Division 1. So, yeah, that's how we managed to survive.
And what was the season like? Because obviously, these are big names.
Oh, yeah.
Caps United have built a proper solid team, and you come back like you're saying. Yes, you've got to get academy players, but they can't reach the level of the players that have gone. So, if you still remember what the next coming months or the season, the rest of the season was like?
Because the fortunate part is when we started the league. To 2005, we had gone, I think 9 games unbeaten. Yes, 9 games unbeaten. So we were way, way ahead of everyone else. So at the time we came back, we started losing here and there, dropping points, but we managed to win the championship.
And so now, I mean, it's years later, or the years later when these guys, because majority of them came back, when you then met them face to face, my first time conversations, what were they like?
Trust me, these are my brothers. We speak, we talk. They come to my house, we sit, we drink coffee with them. So I had already forgiven them.
Caps United supporters are very... Growing up, we would look on the other side and think, oh, Dynamos fans are very aggressive, they're this and this and this. But there was a period where it was almost Twine period against the fans. Do you still remember that phase? And as a club owner, how were you handling the issues that were happening, where you get to a point where you've done so much for the club? The fans, either they don't appreciate or they choose not to remember all that. They're just like, Twine Peter, I just quit.
Oh, yes. You know, kanauri baba, zvinaitika pamba. Kana pasina hupfune nyama isisawaniki. So, to me, it wasn't new. And remember with this team, I had seen it all. So when it came, I knew how to handle them. I remember there was a time, I'll take a bit, there was a time I brought Charles Mflauri. I had taken Charles to Germany for a year. When he came back, the first game at Gwanzura, at the bench, we lost to Kambuzoma. The same fans came for me. Wasn't
the game one? I don't remember Gwanzura,
so they smashed my car. Vakapunza Jesse.
I think that's the game, yeah.
Yes, that's the game. So, but the same fans, the fortunate part with Cape United fans, when you sit them down, they will listen and they will appreciate. So the next move was for me to go to them, kneel down, speak to them. They understood.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'm trying to understand, why would you be kneeling? Okay, fine. Why would you be kneeling when you're the owner of the club?
You own a club. You need people at that club. And the people are the fans. So you shouldn't disappoint them. This is why I had to bend down so that they understand my vision. And they understood. Why? Because taking someone to Germany for a year, coming back, Charles had learned a lot in Germany. So I wanted to bring it to the club, complement with the players to see what he had learned. But the fans, they could not take it. Timima fans, I. So in the process, it was a process. I knew it was a process. Coach Awuya, we need to hear his vision, listen to his vision, implement whatever he had brought, get the players the material he needed. So yeah, but I gave him the material. And remember, during those days, being someone who's very, very ambitious and someone who doesn't want to lose, that's when I brought in players like the likes of Ian Bakala, Lafta Chilembe, Joseph Kamwendos, Angus Elemo from Namibia, the Sifas Chimedas, good players, Brian Badgers, Yohana Sengo. So yeah, do my tirata go Caps.
But during your era, the players that you brought in, the majority, when you speak to Cape United fans, a lot of them relate to and praise people from back in that era and all the success. Things are happening. Then stories start being written. Kuti, Twine is no longer as rich as he was. Is he struggling with the team? Does he have the money to fund? Was it true? Is it acceptable for you as an individual? Kuti, I don't think I have the same funding muscle as I had before.
Let me tell you what people doesn't know. The thing is, the way I do things, whenever I'm doing something, I'll make sure I'll run it as a business. And when I was running Cape United, to me, it was a business. And I needed to make money out of it. This is why I had invested heavily into the team. So now, the problem with our setup is people think that you should inject every time. A business, a very good business model. If you look at the guys that I had then, I'm talking of Honorable Ziambe in the setup, Honorable Farai Jere in the setup, Andy Hodges, Wellington Chando. Those were big executive guys from the corporate world. So now, this is why I keep saying we're running it as a business. So we needed to make money out of the setup. So when the money wasn't coming, and fans being people who wanted to look at my pocket, because there was no way I was going to bring my bank statement to people and say, this is what I have. But trust me, believe you me, I maintained. And even the day I left Cape United, I had enough money to feed myself, my family, and even the team.
But how did you get to the decision to pass it over? And was it a straight transaction? Was it a takeover? What was the scenario really? Because at that time, like for example, me, I was still out of the media. So you just depend and rely on what the media is feeding you.
Okay. What happened then, I needed to take a break. And I had picked Farai as the best person to pass on the baton to. And believe you me, he keeps it still surviving. He has done well with the team. So I needed to take a break, and I took a break. Farai has done well with the team.
Before I move on, because I still want to talk about Caps, but I also want to react to what you said. When you take a break, at some point the break has to end. Is that a hint that at some point you're going to come back into football?
Oh, I'm already back into football. Remember, I own an academy. I've had this academy for quite some time, more than 7 years. So, but the approach which I took from the previous setup, my academy, I was concentrating on rural, getting youngsters from areas like Binga, Gwanda, Kudande, Bite Bridge, Chipinge. So, those are the youngsters that I have now at the academy.
So, no, I still Twine. You've been doing things silently out of the limelight.
Oh, yes. If you call Shingi Kawandera, George Nechironga, the former soccer star of the year, Dumichongwe, they are busy at Railton with the youngsters.
Okay, that is answered. But the second part is, this is academy. The second part is level Ramamuri Cape United. In terms of maybe at club level, at national level, at what? Because Makazombopina PSL footy, are you ever gonna go back? Are you gonna come back?
Thank you. PSL, let me talk about PSL now. PSL, when I got to PSL, our offices were City Sports Center. Not taking away anything from the previous executives or the chairperson, but I strongly feel I also invested into the league a lot, quite a lot, together with my colleagues, the likes of Musa Gwasira, Lenthans, Kadba Chitima, the late Eric Rosen, Motor Action, because we are the guys who started with the board of governors. Fortunate enough, I was able to lure sponsors through maybe my background coming from Cape United and my corporate face. So, PSO, I remember when I came in 2010, we had no sponsor at all. We had to contribute for a trophy. The contributions were done by myself, Musa, and Kadba Chitima to hand it over to Motor Action. There was no prize money then. Because we came in, there was no sponsor. Totally nothing, zero. So we started working as a team, as an executive, led by myself, better offices in Eastleigh, bought furniture for the offices, we employed professionals as well. That's when I brought in the likes of Kenny Devele from the former Highlanders chairman as a CEO to the league. It wasn't easy. People, they didn't believe in me, and I knew where I was heading. Excuse me. I needed to bring in a corporate first to the league. So it wasn't easy. But Twine being Twine, I kept on pushing. I got my first sponsorship from Delta Castle 2011. Then remember at Delta they'd left football, but I went in, persuaded them, I shared my vision, they accepted, they came back. The next thing, I was with Net One, Reward Kangai. I went there, negotiated, they came into football with the Net One trophy. From there, I went to Mbada. Mbada came on board. I went to Bange BC, they came on board. I went to Supersport, they came on. It wasn't easy. I remember flying to Nairobi more than 4 or 5 times, meetings with them, because Supersport, they're based in Nairobi. That's where the head office for Africa is. Yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. When the Supersport came on board, multi-choice, that was my 6th corporate coming in. Then I remember talking to Nyaradzo, Sawira Mukuru. They bought buses. It was a sponsorship for buses for clubs. The first year they were going to buy. They bought 7 buses. Then the following year they were going to buy about 8 buses for the rest of the league. So yeah, I remember with PSO I had 7 sponsors. There was a time which when a corporate Pick and Pay came on board, we had no space. We couldn't play a tournament. We had to do a 2-day tournament because we had no space. But the bottom line is, I think with the league, I reached the ceiling because I managed to give, I guess I was the only one who managed to pay clubs grants before the beginning of the season. I was giving them 44,000 a year for each club to participate to start the league from all those sponsorship. Yeah.
But is sport not a thankless job in a way, or a thankless industry, because people tend to forget or underestimate what it takes for a person to bring a sponsor on board? People have a tendency to assume that it's very easy to sell the product, when on the ground, I'm speaking from experience, it's very difficult to sell football, Zimbabwean football, as a commodity.
It is. Actually, you've just used a word which the late Harrison Mbewe used to tell me, that football is a thankless sport. And I'm happy that you've brought it up again. People are quick to forget. And talking to a few guys, they still understand that we had turned around the league and we had brought in a corporate face to Zimbabwean football through our league.
And how did you handle when you left the sport with, at the time, a lot of the news that was coming out was Twine Mari?
No, you see, the thing is, I knew that was a political statement because vanhu vaidaka kugara pamwe pakagara Twine. So the only way was to say Twine hapera mari. If you look at it today, all my kids, they are abroad. I'm left with one. And they've all completed their education. So what I did, pavanti ndapera mari, ndiri busy kuendesa vana kubi kuchikoro. And fortunate enough, zvinhu zvindakazvitanga ndiri mudiki. Saka ndichine energy.
But my levels are actually the same. Because by the time conversation, you did speak about the fact that when you bought Caps United, big rangari ripo. When you left Caps United, big rangari ripo, but rangari chiri level rangari before.
Big rangaradzikira. I'll tell you why rangaradzikira. Ndichitanga team kwanga kusina vana. Ndichizo dai one team kwanga kwaane mhuri yakati kurei. So pegire mhuri ranga riripo rekutimu ndo rataimaneja tanga rekumanaja timu kuti zvinhu zvifambe.
So you talk about all this, you talk about all the areas, and now you are, we can say you're in the terrace, you're in the sidelines, you're watching the state of these institutions in which you were, whether it's Caps United, whether it's PSL. What are your views on where you left it, or when you were at your high with the institutions and where they are now?
Chokwadi ndechekuti whoever is there anofanira kukwinya kuti vasimbe, because tavaisira tavakwidzira negreen bar. Saka vanofanira kumecha barrier vachipawo magrants zvataita ndo zvinofanira kunge zviripo, ndo bhara remazano.
But do you still go and watch like top flight football? And if you do, where would a person be able to spot a Twine Phiri in the crowd?
Yeah, but and I'm always there. Kurufaro, wherever, ku Baobab, ndinowanika, ku Shamba, ndirego. I love football. I love the game, and I'm one person who love to see football players doing well. And hopefully one day, Tijaito and I am shake 3-4 in the country who they will donate buses.
So what did football give you and what did football take away from you?
Football, despite the passion, I wouldn't say I got not even a pair of shoes. No, not even a pair of shoes, no. Taking away, yes, football did. But I'm happy that I groomed quite a number. And when I see these boys now, let me give you an example. The guy that we all know, Wandambo Taura, Nyasham Shekwi, David Sengu, they are doing well. When I go, say, to Namibia, Elemu is doing well. He's with the national team. I go to Zambia. Ian Bakala is doing very well. He was to Morocco for his training, coaching. So yeah, I love to see those things. That's what I like.
And when you when you look back at, let's start with the Caps era.
Mm-hmm.
What more do you think you could have done? What things you look back and you're like, I could have done this? Or what do you say, maybe this I shouldn't have done?
Oh yes, the thing that I could have done was to come up with the Caps Village. A Caps Village where we have apartments, offices for the team, a mini stadium. But we will still do it because Farai is a very close friend of mine, we speak. We'll still do it. I'll tell him, I'll encourage him.
Yeah, mandidaira mvunzo wananchazovunza. Kuti, you know, like people, we obviously have questions when somebody takes over a team from someone. Sometimes the assumption might be the relationship has broken. So you've indicated that you and Farai have a good relationship.
Oh, yes.
Is it a good relationship? But Farai ndikuona from a distance apa wadi wadai.
Ndinotoenda mukamubvunza ndinotoenda kutonomutsa usiku kuti azvitsirizo ngatiite iso. So ndofunga pamupacha anototi mukuru uyu anonetsa. But you know what? I wouldn't want to see the brand dying while I'm still alive.
But brand izozvi pachokwadi. Dynamos, Highlanders, Caps United. There's an influx of what we can call the money bags. We've seen recently even the title changing hands. Nima teams anonzima money bags. In your time, did you have that competition, or when you look at it now, how would you handle the current situation where you've got traditional giants and then you've got these money teams that are coming in, and afterwards there are both D1 futhi kuri feeder a lot of teams that will be in the Premier League in the coming seasons?
Let me take you back a bit, Yvonne. During our time, we had guys vangwani mari tutora mari chai yaishandwa. We had Delma in the setup, Amazulu. The man is a very strong man. We had Motor Action, Eric Rosen, Awanga in a big baba in Indiriziva. So competition then was stiff. It wasn't easy, but chaitika pepe taishanda as administrators. Remember, even kunana dimbari kwankwina na Marison Sferan, madareve mavanga wakapenga kavai. I remember at one time, vakauya kwandiri, you know, vachizokwereta mari ndikavapa. Fortunate enough, vaidzorera. Waituka vapa vaita se, vaidzorera. But vankakangwara, ukaona opponent inouya ichikwereta kwauri, which means yakangwara upfurei iwewe. Saka kwanga kwakatopenga, vanhu vanga vakaipa. You know, even pakauya ana lengthens, kuchuya ana Gunners, panga kwangu ine mabegi. So mabegi aya tinowaziva, takaona and takabata. So azvishamise kuti zviri kuitika izvika chinofanira kuita matsawira edu. Vama mention Highlanders, Timbare and Caps is to come up with a setup to counter, because already vane you know, supporters vana wokudara. How do they do it? They should go and notch higher. How? Professionalism. Hakuna chinhu chinobita professionalism. Look at setup yengezi kana FC Platinum. Proper professional setup. Inoratidza yega. That's my advice to these three giants.
And there's a notion of, fans still like to call them community teams. Does the concept of a community team work? Because we look at the scenario, even Caps, Yeguti, Dynamos, it's a community team, maybe it's owned, but set up Yema community teams in 2024. Does it work?
I wouldn't say it works or it doesn't, but inini chandinoziva ndechekuti ndaisa a board during my time. Ndanga ndine board supervisor inini randairipota to ndiri muridzi. So that setup ndinofunga kuti it works. Because remember, if I'm to tell you board rangu kuti ranga rakamira sei, ranga rine vanhu vakuru. Remember, I had the likes of Joyce Kazembe, the former deputy chairperson with the likes of Tantiniwan Vakasimba and Tobias Mapuire, you know.
So if you may divert a bit, if you may allow me to speak on rivals, animals, is it what's lacking, Kuti? You have a board of people that are accountable, that make you accountable. Kuti, I know you own the team, but we've got the power to tell you how to do things in the team that you, Twine Phiri, bought.
That's a proper setup. If you want to run a public office, that's what you should do. You should report to certain individuals. But you need to report to certain people. And accountability is very, very key. This is why you find, even Cape Squatch, they bring some audited accounts. We go to PSO, the same thing. They have audited accounts. You know. So accountability is key. Professionalism, corporate governance, you need that. And yes, I'm seeing it with the Highlanders. They are doing it. Highlanders.
But did it aid you in your case that, like you say, you came in as a person animal business? You came in as a person who already had structure elsewhere that they were now trying to implement in football?
Yeah, it helped. Trust me, it helped. Even the 2 years that I worked together with the holdings, it helped me. Because remember, Caps Pharmaceutical, it was one of the top corporate organization back then. Quite were my profits. So tengo emulator, zvabaita, and takati tofamba nazo takadaro. And it helped me to run a business. This is why you find my business is still surviving. That's because ndoma structure tinongofamba ona.
When you talk about Cape Pharmaceuticals, man, fungizangoa yekuti taitienda ubhora tivadiki tinzi wakafika zve Cape zonzi vasikane mapiritsa. So what do you hope for Caps? Because we have to align you to this product that at one time was your product.
Oh yeah, my prayer is for the team to be a giant in Africa. And I know with my colleague who's there,
Inoshika. And then makatarisa situation yedu ye Premier Soccer League right now. The sponsorship that was there and everything, and slowly as the years gone down, some of them have dropped off, and we don't have as much sponsorship as maybe we had in the yesteryear. How, from the outside looking in, how do we get it back to that product?
It's easy, very easy. I don't want to lie to you. It's easy, very, very easy. When I move in the streets, I meet those same guys who are running those corporates. Why did you leave football? You know, and Yvonne. It's very, very easy. For me, give me 30 days, I'll bring 5 sponsors to the league.
Is that a hint that you're coming back? You want to come back?
No.
Or it was hypothetical?
It's not a hint at all, but I know how to do it. In the game, with the passion, with friends that I have outside. Even Gwanzura here, you know, Tambirwa Bora here.
But is it people not seeking advice from people that have done it before? Is it you guys that were there before not passing on the advice to the people that are currently in? What is the situation on the information transmission between vanhu vakudhara vaiitawo zvinhu kudhara nevanhu vakuita zvinhu mazuva?
Yvonne, ndoda kupa example iri easier to you. It was just a phone call from you. Nasi ndakagara newe. So if you come to me, I'll give you information.
So hint, I'm not going to look for you. Look for me. I'll give you the information. And all the information. Adotsvaga nzvimbo ndiani inonzvaga pachikoro kachikoro hachisvike chiti gogogoi.
Ndochokwadi.
So now let's talk about now I'm moving on to a phase where this is Twine, the football fan, the football lover. Not Twine, the former Caps United supporter, PSL chairman and all that. Let's talk about the state of our game right now. We have an issue of stadiums. You even mentioned it in your wish list for a mini training stadium, maybe that you could have done for Caps United. But what is the situation here? What do you want to say? Especially now we've qualified, we're happy, we're going to Africa Cup of Nations, but we had to fight outside our borders.
Okay. It's simple, and because I love the game, and I want to say it bluntly. Ngakuyiswe vanhu vanoshandira bhora. Simple. Kana nchiti vanhu vanoshandira bhora, we have a full Ministry of Sport. And tikanoungana tese kuya ground inoshanda. Tichivakumbira, noti zvekurwa. Tichivakumbira kuti tibatsirei pakati. Tine Ministry of National Housing, Local Government. Maministry aya ndo mabasa avo. So panonida vanhu vanoenda vachinonoka vachitaura navo kuti zvinhu zviitike. Simple, hapana chinombotemesa musoro kana chinonetsa pai. Kufambira zvinhu kuti zvinhu zviitike.
But hazvisi easy kune munhu akaita semio kuti, like you're saying, you've got connections, you can knock on the doors and say, guys, you've got a reputation that precedes you. Like, let's say, for example, when you're at Caps, you've got a business portfolio that precedes you. You've got this team that you're running well. Your team is doing well. They're winning titles. Wasn't it easy? Is it as easy as that? Kana uti zvakuenda nafuti nekuti uri ani reputation yako yakamira sei, because mataura nyaya kuti even the people that we put in those positions.
The thing is, unenge uine passion here yekuita chinhu chacho. Kana uine passion yekuita chinhu chacho achinetse. But kana usina, uri murimi, anditi wauya uku kustadium ndopaipa unozobvunza kuti ko chinonzi penalty chi. Kana offside yakamira sei. Wozi uri murimika wapinda muterritory isiri yako anditi maona. So because kune democracy yekuti munhu wese anofanira kunge aripo, but when picking sarudzaiwo the right people so that vakuitire zvinhu zviite. Do you think pasetup yedu yemagovernors here yandataura 2010 when they picked vanhu vakaita sana Kabe Chitima, vanhu vakaita sana Musa Gwanzura vaya na Eric Rosen, myself, Nana Joseph Zulu, they knew what they were picking. This is why makaona the brand rakasumuka harina kustruggle, because remember this was a new setup ka governors. But ima governors ka takaisiya ine 7 sponsors ichipa grants and it mazwana. So same setup ya murutaura ima stadium yekuti kune vanhu vakaita sei, handisi kuti ndiri kushora vanhu varipo, but ndiri kuti zvinongodawo you should go an extra mile to do things, because it's not proper, for a country like ours, with all these resources that we have, ne holiday resorts atinawo, towanikwa tichinotambira ku Uganda, Bora. It's not proper.
It's something that we don't like. So I will not dwell into who you want to favor, who you think should be in power, but is it a wish of yours? Because you've laid down what you think we need to have, and we're in election season. Is this also the wish list for the coming elections, to say put people that love the game and in these positions?
Oh yes. They must, I respect my councillors because I've seen them changing my presidents. That's why I respect them. Because daivanga singazive zvavanoita tingadai tine president one vasingachinje. So they are good councillors. So I think this time, coming from our background where FIFA had banned us for a few years, I think everyone is sober now. Hakuna munhu andoramba akabhanwa. So everyone is sober, and I guess proper things will be done. And manje mchaona tichitambira bora muno.
And as a person who's been there, done that, there was a whole contentious issue about your education, your 5 O levels. Where do you stand in the whole debate?
Yeah, no, 5 O levels, we need them. Kuchikoro kwa taenda kuyaga, anditi. Taitonzi kana usina 5 O level hapana. Zvinotobatsira, anditi. But we should also think about the youngsters vatinotora vaive. Vatinobvisa kunana binga dande chichi kuti vafocus nefootball. So tinofanira kuziva kuti uyu aitamba anditi tomunzwirawo tsitsi samwe kuti auyewo musetup yedu yeadmin. Ndomafungira angu. But kwatiri isusu tinofanirwa kunge tinadzo.
It's such an enlightening interview. I feel like I've learned things about you that I didn't know before. Because like I said, I stand terrace with Twine, Phiri and talking about Caps United. So izozvi ndafunza nyaya yema issues ekudhara, yema finances, emachi. Allow me to ask this question. So begi riripo.
Ndogara kuborodhera.
So kana begi riripo andi matri kutsvaga iri. Vanoda chigame, vane begi, zvese combination zvese.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, what I've learned in this country, unonzwa munhu achitaura kuti ndinge hana mari, handiti. But anenge asina kuyozobvunza kuti ndiratidze bank statement yako. So, and tajaira kunzwa dzinotaurwa dzedze. I can mention guys that I know vane mari. Vatinotamba nawo golf, vatinoswera nawo maweekends tiri kumafamu. Handiti vane mari. But hanzandambonzwa vanenge vakatopfeka mapatapata nezvikabudura. But hanzandambonzwa itaura kuti Twine hauna mari.
Tiswa na Yvonne wasna. Angatira achiti ningane mari, ningimika, ningaizimbinga, ningapera ko amingene mari. Very enlightening, very enlightening interview. So yeah, tataura zvese, tataura your football side. Now we're getting on a personal level to say like, so now what do? You spoke on golf. What recreation do you do besides going to the stadium to watch football? Twine, Phiri and Farai.
Bora kunyanya. Golf rozouya tozopinda mugym.
And there was a time your son came into the Caps United setup. What was the plan there? What was your vision for him? And did it happen the way that you wanted it to happen for Joe?
Not really, because when I left, mwana wanyoka ka andinoziva akangotanga kuita zvandinoita. So I'm happy for him. He's doing well. He's running his own thing.
Very diplomatic answer there. I don't think I should ask more. And before we go, is there anything that I didn't ask? Anything that you think, Yvonne, I should mention this?
Oh, yes. There's a time I lost the late Blessing Makonike, Shingi Aaron, na Gerima Shoko, and the two fans. That time, yakandibatsira kumukukura. Yes, I was young then, but zvakandibatsira mukukura. Mukukura in a sense yekuti ndakasangana nazvo ndiri mudiki zvakanditafena. But it's sad kuti those guys are no more there. And I think this is their 20th, if not 21st year, Vasipo. And vaibva kubasa.
So does that count as one of the low moments?
Yes, it does. It does big time, yeah.
So, like he's saying, a tough moment also toughened him as an individual. I'm hoping that I asked the questions that you would, if given an opportunity to be in the seat here and Twine Phiri was sitting across from you, the questions that you would have asked him, I hope I did a good job and I asked the questions that you had. Even though we are still very vague about, I try to dig, but we're still very vague about what the future holds for Twine Phiri in football. As a football fan, I'm hoping that someday we'll talk about him being back in the setup. Hopefully that's also part of his dream. We'll have administrators like that. Retire. Martin Darega, ndataura example yaMsona tisataenda kuti munhu anenge achihopa kuti knowledge Msona ngaadzoke, mwana achihopa kuti Twine Phiri ngaadzoke, mwana achihopa kuti dai. So I'm hoping kuti one day tichazogara takuti but Mr. Phiri musiweya amnotaura henyu asi madzoka. Until the next time that we have the next show next week, and also I bring you another bigger sporting personality on the show to talk about their journey in Zimbabwean sport. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones, and don't forget to follow me, Yvonne Mangunda, on Facebook for the latest sports updates. Until next time.
It's the little things that make us giants in our industry. We put in that extra mile of service so your car can go that extra mile of performance. Our aim is to make our stopovers feel like home. Giant Petroleum. Limitless energy.